love it for it, to be against discrimination of any kind in our country.
Our rights come from nature and God, not from government.
All God asks of you is faithfulness, faithfulness, faithfulness.
Fighting for the family, standing for the church, laboring to return to a moral and biblically based culture.
This is the American Family Association at AFA Today.
All right, it's AFA Today from the belly of the news beast. If you're watching on the AFA channel, that's Times Square, live on a very hot New York summer day, but we're glad you're with us. Did you have a good holiday weekend? I hope you did. We stayed in, and we had friends over on Friday, but it was supposed to rain. Then we had some more over on Saturday. And then just the family after worship on Sunday. Just the family relaxed, and it was like a vacation. But we never really left the house too much, and we saw a lot of good friends and ate a lot of really good food. I don't know how you celebrated our nation's independence, but I hope it was meaningful and I hope it was good. Now back to the work at hand. We have a lot of news to get to. There is John Boehner has made a statement explaining why he is deciding to file a lawsuit against the administration. We will get to that. And then there's a couple of other things I wanted you to be aware of. Did you know that there are 25,356 people that work at cabinet-level agencies that make $180,000 or more? Do you know what that is? Do you know how much that is? That's $15,000 a month that they bring home. That is some pretty incredible pay for people that are working on yours and my tax dime at the cabinet level office. I just found that 25,000. 18,000 of those are working for the VA. You know, the Department of Veteran Affairs. You know, the group we've had. I hope that they're earning. I hope they have the expertise and the skill set to be meriting that kind of pay, because for 18,000 people at the VA to be making that level of money and for veterans to be dying while waiting in line, that just seems really bad. I'm not an expert, and I could be wrong. It just looks really awful. Anyway, I wanted you to know about that. And then let's see, what else did we have? Oh, yes, now you better charge up your cell phone before you fly back to the U.S. They may say it's a bomb and make you leave it behind. For the $200 to $500 cell phone that people now use in their pocket, that would be a rather significant thing. If I had my cell phone, I'd stay in the country before I'd let them throw my cell phone away. It's just you can't do that to me. My cell phone is now what my computer was 5 years ago. It is my number one. I run a media company, so I do interviews, I shoot video, I make phone calls, I answer email, I do texts, I update social media, I do all that stuff. That's all on my cell phone every day. Like, I was thinking today as I was lugging my laptop back to the studio yet one more time, why am I carrying this? But anyway, it's kind of interesting. If you come in from certain airports out of the country to try to land back in the U.S., they're going to demand that it be charged enough, at least, to prove to them that it works when you're going through security. And, if it keeps us safe, I guess I don't have a problem with it. I just don't want to lose my cell phone. Okay, what else do I want to get to? Oh, John Boehner. Okay, he wrote an op-ed, and I'm not a huge Boehner buff. Boehner's not necessarily my boy. But I do appreciate the opening paragraph of his rather blistering op-ed at CNN.com over the weekend. This is what he wrote. Every member of Congress swore an oath to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States. So did President Barack Obama, but too often, over the past 5 years, the president has circumvented the American people and their elected representatives through executive action, changing and creating his own laws and excusing himself from enforcing statutes he is sworn to uphold, at times even boasting about his willingness to do it as if daring the American people to stop him. I believe it's time. That last sentence is from Kevin McCullough. But yes, I agree with what Mr. Boehner is saying there. Let's see, what else do we have? Yeah, okay. Oh, we'll see if we need to get to any of those headlines. I'm trying to give you the important stuff so that we can then get to the thing I want to talk about today, which is this. I don't know if you've heard this or understood it, but we have a little bit of a problem at the southern border. Did you know that? Did you know we have a few people coming in that aren't necessarily, well, we're not for sure who they are. We're not for sure where they're from. We're not for sure why they're coming here. And they're bringing a lot of really bad stuff with them. Stuff like sex trafficking, drugs, diseases, random family members that sometimes die in our deserts. We have found some kids. There's a number of them, several hundred of them that are under the age of 2 that are making it across. Like, how is this occurring? Well, we found out one other thing on Saturday, and this has been largely ignored by most of the media, but the vast majority of about 50,000 unaccompanied children and youths who have illegally crossed the Texas border during the last couple of months have been successfully delivered by federal agencies to relatives living in the United States, according to the New York Times on Saturday. Now, what does that mean? Well, there's 50,000 free taxi rides that we gave away, or free plane rides, or bus rides, or planes, trains, and automobiles. This is taking the minor that is lost or doesn't have someone that's of age that are guarding them, being their guardian, and taking them to whatever destination in the U.S. that they need to get to in order to be with a relative, sometimes further away into America than where they came from south of the border. But nonetheless, this is what 50,000 unaccompanied youths and children that have illegally crossed, we've given taxpayer-funded rides to various destination points across the U.S. Now, I want you to consider one other thing. That's 50,000 minors that we've done that for. People say, well, Kev, they're kids. What kind of mean person are you if you don't want to give the kids the ride to safety? Okay, and that's, by the way, not what I said, but that's what some people will assume just because I brought this up. But the second part of the 2-part series in the New York Times then revealed that officials have sent nearly 240,000 adults to addresses, destinations of choice in the United States of America since April. That's 250,000 adults with 50,000 more youths that have been given taxpayer-funded transportation to go where they requested to go. They've been successfully delivered by federal agencies to relatives and other destinations living in the United States. This is according to the investigation of the New York Times. Not exactly a conservative, talking point mouthpiece. The 290,000 illegals so far are basically using legal loopholes that allow them to get temporary permits to stay. And experts say that the administration has failed to close those and is unlikely to deport them, despite high unemployment rates, especially among African American, American Latino, and white youths with all kinds of problems on the local level. But this is what I want us to understand and to talk about today, friend. This is not a victimless crime that's being committed on the southern border. This is not a crime that is being committed that is only assisting completely innocent people, that has no bearing on any of the rest of the people that live in the United States. We've given taxpayer-funded transportation to 300,000 people that came into the country just because they asked us to. And if you average, I don't know, $500 to $1,000 per airfare wherever they need to go, or bus ride, or combination of transportation, whatever, we could be spending somewhere between $1 million and $3 million dollars just on these rides, just on getting people to where they've asked us to take them. Now, there's those that are listening that are even right now saying, Kevin, you're racist. This is a racist thing to bring up. Why are you being so hateful? I'm not being hateful. What I want to do is I want to ask a very important question, and it is this, at 888-589-8840. Is this the right thing to do? Does this encourage more of this, or does this in some way stop this or slow it down? If you are the president, you're making the decision to use your executive power to order the agencies to give these rides on the taxpayer dime. Is this the time and place, and do we have the ability and the wherewithal right now to be doing this? This doesn't have anything to do with the race of the person coming across the border. If they were all Anglo-Europeans, I would be saying the same thing. This has everything to do with, is this the right thing to do? Is this the right thing to do? And if we continue to do nothing about it, what becomes of our country as we are sitting here today discussing this? See, I'm not so much interested in the talking points from either side. What I'm interested in is the righteous solution to the problem. And I'm just wondering if by saying we're not going to do anything, which is the administration's position, we're not going to do anything about, he cut some PSAs that they may run on some TV stations somewhere in Central America saying, don't come to the U.S. It's kind of against the law, wink, wink. That's what the White House is saying they've done, that they've run these ads. Meanwhile, there are literally camps set up in all 4 states. Texas is averaging in excess of 1,000 people a day. We think the same is happening in Arizona. New Mexico and California won't release their numbers. They're democratically oriented, meaning that they're beholden to the Democratic Party and they're not going to release their numbers. The feds are now arresting journalists who report on things like the disease outbreaks that do not have the feds' permission to do it. They're banning them, and then they're saying you can't be here and not letting them proceed. My question is very, very simple. Are we doing the compassionate, righteous thing in encouraging this process to continue? Are we doing the right thing to the taxpayers? Are we doing the right thing for the families? Are we doing the right thing for the kids? Are we doing the right thing for the coyotes, who seem to me to be the only people really making a buck off any of this? They're the ones that are getting wealthy. They're the ones that are making it happen. They're the ones that are getting people in Central America to basically give up their family's life savings, and in doing so, they are convincing them then to give them their money, and they get them to the border. They put up this is how tough it is to get in our country. They put up a ladder, and then they say, "Okay, go for it. The ladder's there. All you got to do is go for it." So it's not needless to say we've got some significant issues, and I want to know from you what your take is on the fact that we have paid for and delivered 300,000 illegals from the southern border to destinations of choice, ranging from Hawaii to Maine and everywhere in between. Over the last month, 2 months, just since April, we've delivered 300,000 people to places where they wanted to go. Is this a compassionate response? Is it the right response? In your mind, will this lessen the dilemma? Will it be a solution that ultimately will be able to say, hey, that really fixed the problem? 888-589-8840. 888-589-8840. I'm Kevin McCullough. So glad that you're with us. Thank you for being here. And again, the phone number, 888-589-8840, 888-589-8840. You can also send me your email at kmcradio@gmail.com or comment on Facebook as well. It's Kevin McCullough on AFA Today on AFR Talk. We're coming back to talk to you about this next, right here. Don't go away.
Pray. Pray for people you know who don't know Jesus. And get ready. Get ready for My Hope 2014 with Billy Graham. God worked powerfully through My Hope last year.
I submitted my life that night to Jesus Christ.
Now your church can be part of My Hope 2014 this fall.
I needed a way to give an invitation. And at the right time, My Hope, the video, the whole idea, when it was presented to me, I said, that's it.
My Hope 2014 features a new message from Billy Graham. Pre-order the DVD Heaven today. Go to myhopewithbillygraham.org. Then help your church plan its own My Hope outreach, because your church knows the best way to reach your community.
We're calling tonight the night because we're just believing that tonight could be the night that people's lives change, that people experience Christ for the first time.
Be part of My Hope 2014 with Billy Graham. Go to myhopewithbillygraham.org. myhopewithbillygraham.org.
The Point of View Commentary with Kirby Anderson.
The humanitarian crisis on our southern border is growing daily. Even before the President and Congress resolve the issue, they need to find places for these illegal miners who have crossed the border into our country. We're running out of room on military bases, and that is why what happened recently in Virginia illustrates the problem the government faces when they try to relocate thousands of kids from Mexico and Central America. Lawrenceville, Virginia, is a community of about 1,500 residents. More than 3/4 are African American. They learned firsthand what happens when the federal government plans to relocate hundreds of illegal minors in their town. Federal officials decided to place 500 of these kids in a black college that was shut down last year. The citizens did not take kindly to the federal plan. A town hall meeting held last month brought an overflow crowd of more than 1,000 angry people to protest the government's plan to relocate illegal immigrant children. Citizens expressed concern about public safety. They wondered if the crime rate would skyrocket because these children, some of whom are up to the age of 17, would be placed on a campus